Alright, this is chapter 2.1, problem 1, solving systems using substitution. Alright, so step 1, it said to pick a variable and solve for it. Alright, now you're not going to get an actual number, you're going to get an equation for it, but just solve for one of the variables. And I can pick any of them I want. Now, the easiest ones to look for, yeah, that one I can get alone real quick. These two I can get alone real quick. The only problem with that is the fact that in those equations, I still have two more to deal with. Alright, so I'm not going to play with those ones. The ones I am going to play with are one of these two up here. Alright, the reason being is, even though I do have a 3 and it's -6 out there to deal with, if I solve for y, it only has one more variable in the equation. So life gets easier if we do that. So here we go. We're going to do 3y minus 6z equals -6. And I'm going to solve for the y, okay? Because you notice how if I divide everything by 3, y becomes alone, not 6. 2z equals -2. Notice how that gets alone. And so all I got to do is move that 2z to the other side, so y equals 2z minus 2. Alright, so that's step 1. Y has been isolated. We solve for one of the variables. Okay? Now, I got to take that y and plug it in right there and right there. Alright, so here we go. Step 2. Using my first equation, I'm going to write out x minus, and then instead of y, I'm going to write 2z minus 2. Right. Then continue writing the rest of it. 4z equals 10. Oop, move over. Then I've got my other equation. 2x plus 2y, but instead of y in parentheses, I'm going to put 2z minus 2. And I'll put minus z equals 12. Right? So these formulas should be identical to the individual ones, but instead of writing a y, in parentheses, I put what y equals. Okay? Instead of writing y, I wrote what y equals, and I put it in parentheses. The reason for the parentheses is I know I need to distribute, even if it's just a negative. Alright? I do not want to forget distributing that negative. So let's clean it up, combine our terms, and then we can move from there. So this becomes x minus 2z plus 2 plus 4z equals 10. I'll move the 2 over here and combine my z's. So x plus 2z equals 8. And if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause. Alright, so I've got that one done. Everything's combined. Over here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to distribute that 2. So I've got 2x plus 4z. 2 times -2 is -4. Minus z equals 12. Okay. I'll move the single over, the -4, so I'll add 4 to both sides to get rid of that. And combine my z's again. So I get 2x plus 4z. Nope. 2x plus 3z equals 16. Alright? And that's step 2. We have successfully eliminated one of the variables. I now have this new system of equations that only has 2 variables total. Alright, so that's step 2. Step 3 says solve this system. Now step 3, you've done it, you did your freshman year and probably a little bit your sophomore year as well in Algebra 1 and junior high. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly what we just did. Solve for one of those variables and plug it into the other equation. And you can solve for any of them that you want. It will work no matter what you choose. If I choose this z over here, I can do that. The only problem is that when I go to divide by 3, 16 doesn't divide by 3, 2 doesn't divide by 3, so I'm left with those fractions. Okay? Not that fractions are bad, but if I can not deal with them, I'd rather not. Okay? Instead, I'm going to solve for this x over here because it's already alone. It's already by itself. So here we go. We're going to take x plus 2z equals 8. Move the 2z over. X equals negative 2z plus 8. And look, x is alone. Now I can take this and plug it in right there. So 2 times negative 2z plus 8 plus 3z equals 16. And we'll solve just like we did earlier. Start out by distributing and collecting your terms. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, so negative 4z. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3z equals 16. I'll subtract that 16 over to get it out of the way. So negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1, so that's negative z equals 0. Move the negative over, so z equals 0. We have just found one of our variables. Now, don't freak out. We do not have to do all that math for the other two. Once you have found one of them, the others two fall really quick. All right, I can take this z and plug it into any of these equations that I want, and that is simply fine. Okay, let me erase all that real quick. I can plug it into anything I want. However, this one right here is nice and primed. It is ready to go. If I go x equals negative 2 times 0 plus 8. Negative 2 times 0, well that's 0. So x equals 8. Ooh. Big jump. Big problem. Oh, look at this one over here. Same one over here. Look at that one. If I plug in z for that one, I get y. Y equals 2 times 0 minus 2. So y equals negative 2. So therefore, my final answer to this system, this ordered triple, will be my x is 8, my y is negative 2, and my z is 0. And that would be it. Okay? That would be the 4 steps. You start off, solve for one variable, okay? Plug it in, plug it in to get rid of that one variable, okay? Use that system to solve for one variable. Really, that would be this and that. And then last but not least, once you get one variable, life gets so much simpler. You just simply plug it in, and real quickly, you get the other two. Okay? Erase those squares. Those are a little crazy to look at. Oop, right. There you go. That's how you do it. Go ahead and try letter B. All right, letter C. First thing you should notice is, wow, all three of these have 3 letters. We have an X, a Y, a Z. We have an X, a Y, a Z. We have an X, a Y, a Z. They all have 3 letters. So, but the process is the same. We're going to start with one letter, all right, and solve for it. And we can choose any one we want. We could choose this X. We could choose this Y. The problem with some of these is if I choose this Y, I have to divide everything by that 2. And that's divisible by 2, this is divisible by 2, that's divisible by 2. But this one is not divisible by 2, so it would be left with a fraction. So if there's something that's left with a fraction, I go for something else. Preferably these ones that are all alone and already, already positive. They're already positive and they're already alone. So I would solve for one of those two, or even this one. All right. So just for the fun of it, let's solve for z up here. Okay? So step 1. We've got 4x minus y plus z equals 5. And I'm basically going to move those other two to the other side. So z equals negative 4x plus y plus 5. And your Algebra 1 teacher may have told you to do these one at a time. I do not care if you do them both at the same time, so long as you do not mess up your signs. Okay? Basically, to show everyone what I did is I added y to both sides, and I subtracted 4x from both sides. And since there was nothing to combine them with over here, I just listed everything out. That's what happened. Alright? You're in Algebra 2 now. It's time to start going a little bit faster. Alright? So, we got that down. We solved step 1. Step 2. Plug it in. So, I used the first one already, so I got to use the second two. So, I've got 8x minus 2y plus 2, times negative 4x plus y plus 5 equals 1. That's one of them. The other one is x, that's not a negative sign out in front of it, just a mark on my own, plus y plus 7, z, 7 times z, which in this case z is negative 4x plus y plus 5, and equals negative 3. Okay? We go ahead and erase these over here before I start thinking everything's negative on the right side. Alright, from here, start combining your terms. So I'm going to distribute and combine my terms. So, I got 8x minus 2y. 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, so negative 8x. 2 times y is 2y, so plus 2y. Plus 5. Oh, 2 times 5, I'm sorry, not 5. Plus 10 equals 1. Now, the fun thing about this, 8x minus 8x, those cancel out. Negative 2y plus 2y, those cancel out. And in this case, we're left with 10 equals 1. Does 10 equal 1? No, it does not, Mr. Hunter. Well, that right there tells you you have no solution. These planes are either, two of them are parallel and one of them's not, or they're kind of cross each other like this, so they never have one common point. Something along those lines. Something is happening to where these have no solution. And actually, I can tell you right now that these two are parallel planes. Mad props if you can tell me why, but you can tell that those are parallel planes. No, I can't. Yeah, I can. I can tell those are parallel planes. Anyways. So there you go. This one has no solution. And no solution isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not like I wasted all that time for no solution. No. Finding no solution is a good thing in life sometimes. Knowing this does not work is a good thing. Okay? So, there we go. Try letter D.